there been any serious discussion to maybe look at an episode through Wilfred's eyes and have it be black and white?
Well, I don't want to give anything away if we do it, but it's definitely something that we've talked about. We have our. If we were to do that, we would have our own personal way into it because I'm sure as you've noticed, we have. I wouldn't call them rules, but we have sort of an idea of how the show is supposed to be, and what Ryan is, what Wilfred is, and basically the show is always through Ryan's point of view. So if we were to do that, we would have our own. Well, there's a way where you do it where you just sort of say, forget it. We're gonna screw the formula and just do what we do. But then we've talked in depth about that kind of episode, and we would have our own, I think, kind of way into it where we feel like we could preserve what the show still is at the same time. So yeah, but I think something like that would be hilarious and would just open you up to so many possibilities, joke-wise and story-wise. So yeah.
Not this season.
What's that?
Not this season.
I don't want to, I don't want to give anything away, but hopefully at some point. Yeah, I know.
I asked Jason about that last season, and that's when he mentioned the black and white.
God,
that's brilliant. And that's all I've been thinking.
That's so funny because we think we're so smart and clever that we sit there and go, no one will expect that all you guys are already thinking about.
Well, I think I also wanted to see a part of an episode through Bear's eyes because that poor. Bear.
Yeah, we did do for fun a DVD extra. I don't know if you guys saw that. It's on the second season DVD called Stay. You guys seen it?
I haven't seen it.
You have?
I haven't.
Oh, you haven't noticed it? Okay, so that's just for fun, but that's basically like a Wilfred point of view episode. I mean, that's why it ever aired. But if you're a true Wilfred fan, if you watch it, I think you'd really appreciate it because it's kind of a play on what the show is. But yeah, that's you guys should come work in a writer's room if you're coming up with that kind of stuff.
Very soon. Just invite us.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
We got time.
Is there anything that you guys ever take to Jason that gives him any pause whatsoever?
Yeah. It's not what you think. He will do anything basically in the direction of we're talking about a dog here, grossness, sexual, he'll go there 100%. We do jokes in the writer's room with Jason that you're okay, that was hilarious. Too bad it'll never see the light of day. And then next season, cut to semen ants. Or cut to that voodoo doll bit. Those were all writer's room just jokes we had. And one day we're I can't believe the words semen and ants are being uttered in an episode. But honestly, as crazy as it sounds, Jason is very loyal to the character. He's very truthful and honest about who this character is and what this character can do or can't do. And that's usually when he pauses, when he says, that's funny or that's clever, but Wilfred wouldn't do that. And I think that's kind of cool that in this really goofy, this goofy show, this goofy world with these crazy zany character, with a crazy zany character like Wilfred, that he'll take that seriously. And I think it's, in any good comedy, it's about commitment. And I think the great comedians commit, and Jason is that type of actor. And so that's when he pauses and says, I don't think so. But no, he'll have sex with a couch. He'll do anything.
Well, who won't?
Yeah, who wouldn't? If it's a hot couch, then.
Speaking of the semen episode, which traumatized me, is there going to be anything this season that you think will be also traumatizing me today?
Well, are you coming to the panel today?
I'm going to try.
If you can come to the panel, if you're going to see the episode, that's, I think, on par with what we screened last year. The episode, the dancing one, if you remember. I don't know if it goes that far, but it goes pretty far in a fun, kind of edgy way. I think tonight's episode is probably, in terms of that kind of sensibility, that probably is our edgiest episode this season. But every episode has its little funny edgy bits.
That one was particularly edgy. Though.
Yeah, right. I think that shot of the semen in last year did not air. They made us tone it down. But I think for Comic-Con, David was I want as much semen as possible on that screen. And I think he got it. I remember being oh my God, that's, holy shit, that's gonna be here.
And does your relationship with FX kind of allow you? Does it kind of almost free your mind to think of all the wild, crazy nonsense that you can think of?
FX is awesome, and my writing partner Reed and I have worked with different networks, different studios on other projects, and everybody's fun. But FX is it's liberating to work with them because they really just let you kind of do whatever you want. The biggest note I think we've ever gotten from FX is we don't love this or we don't understand it, but if you want to do it, fine. Like that's as limiting as they get, and it's just as a writer. It's awesome to be able to feel like they're behind you and they support you. They're just a great place to work. So yeah, I mean, there are some episodes that come back and they're like, great, no notes, and that's really cool. Yeah.
So they've never said no to anything.
Well, that's their version of saying no. What I told you, but even look, you want to have a good relationship with the network, and they're smart too. So it's not like. When they give a note like that, we're just like, well, all we hear is literally we can do it. What we hear, we try and we say why don't you guys like this, and then they explain it, and honestly, almost every single time it makes sense. And then we say, okay, you know what, we get why you don't believe in this joke or this storyline or this character, and then we usually go down a different path that ends up being better. So I think that they're very smart people too, and I'm not just saying that because they can fire me. But
does having characters that are undefinable, at least to the audience, does that present more creativity, or does it kind of paint you in corners at times in the writer's room?
You mean like a character like Wilfred that no one else can see and talk to?
Right.
Or do you mean like any of the other characters too?
That there's a particular rules about him that you kind of keep in mind, and how much to reveal, and like how much of a challenge is it to work with a character specifically like Wilfred versus anything else you've written?
It's very challenging. Like I said, my writing partner, like any writer, you never know what you're going to be doing next year, so you're always working on other things, and it's so funny to go back to like doing like a network sitcom type show, and you're like, oh, we can cut to this other character. We can have a B story that doesn't involve the main character, and it's hard. But I'll tell you, like with a lot of things that you do that you love. When it's challenging, it's that much more rewarding. So when you go into a Wilfred episode and you know all these rules that that other people can't see and talk to the dog, or most of them can't, and you're basically in Elijah Wood's character's point of view the whole time. When you can actually crack an episode and you're like, we did it. We created 22 minutes of a show that basically doesn't have a B story that fulfills all these requirements. It feels really fun to be able to do that. And then when you go back to writing other stuff, it feels like, oh my God, this is like child's play. So it's both. Sometimes when you're in the middle of the story and it isn't working yet, you're like, God damn it, I wish I was working on 2.5 Men right now. But you just have to have, it's like David Zuckerman has, this year, my writing partner and I were the first time we were running the show. We worked there for 3 years, and I think there was a point in the season when we were on an episode when I said to David, God, I don't know, like, if we're gonna, Jesus, this story is a mess, or whatever it was, and he said, you just gotta trust the process. And so, when you have faith in the process and you keep working and working, you always crack it, and then it's fun. And then you see, a whole season laid out, it can be, you feel like you really stepped up to the plate.
Is Wilfred the source of most of the problems?
The character of Wilfred?
Yeah.
I mean, it all stems from the character of Wilfred. If Wilfred were Jenna's brother, just a guy, like, the same character, but he was Jenna's brother, who Ryan hung out with, it would be a completely different show. I think you could actually, we're talking about cutting to black and white point of view. I mean, like, you could just cut to Wilfred doing anything without Ryan, and it would be fine, and no one would question it. But it all comes from the fact that it's a guy in a dog suit that is supposed to be a real dog, and it's like I said, it's limiting, but at the same time, when you crack it, it's rewarding. But yeah, he's a tough character, but at the same time, I mean, he's so much fun. Like, because no one else can see him or talk to him, he can do so many things that normal characters can't. And he can have a relationship with a stuffed bear that, you know, if it were Jenna's brother, he would be put into an insane asylum. If he were a guy who was having sex with a stuffed bear and talking to him, but because he's a dog, it's like you're like, oh yeah, that's probably what the dog thinks a stuffed animal is doing, and it allows us to do those sorts of things that I don't think you can do on any other show. So you know, or the way he talks to the birds, you know, the pigeons, you know, stuff like that. That like. I don't know if those types of jokes have existed on television before, but we get to do them precisely because he's that type of character. I don't know if that was.
I'm going to yank you in a second. I'm just waiting for them to set up.
Oh, well,
Final
any more
questions?
questions?
Short question. Are we going to see giraffes ever again?
I don't want to give anything away. I mean, hey, Raffi could always come back. And any character. We really think, we look at all the characters and we're like, any character can come back. And because we love all our characters, and every season that we start, we always go through the list of people who've been on the show. We go through characters like Raffi who've been on the show, and we say like, oh, what is there an episode in that? Or is there an episode in that? And so you never know, you know. We've got some cool guest stars coming. Mary Steenburgen's coming back. Dwight Yoakam's coming back. So, you know, there will always be giraffes in Wilfred's life. I don't know if it'll always be Raffi, but